The Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up, though, y'all? What up, Ragul?
What's up, my man?
Hey,
I missed you last week, man. I was kind of semi heartbroken that I didn't get to spend Saturday mornings with my best friend of all time on the West Coast. We didn't, but you held it down. You did a great job and put some people on some winners. Man, I'm just glad to be back with you today, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. And boy, did we have a good week last week. I know I went 5-1. I believe you was up there too as well on your picks.
4-2. My best bet I tweeted out and you mentioned on the show. It didn't cash, but my second best bet did with Houston. But Wake Forest had 3 units. They shit the bed last week. But I went 4-2 overall. So if you play single units, you still made money. And I still come out like a little over half unit ahead on the day at 4-2. So positive money, positive day. On to the next.
And another great call on the Pac-12 USC game, over 61. I'm excited to see what you got this week on USC. Me, myself, I just had a good time winning last week. Notre Dame wasn't as great, but they did cover the spread. So we was on the right side if you got it at 3.5.
Yeah.
But
that's right. 3 in the hook, you got it.
Of course, as a fan, I had to have money line bets laid out there. So money line, it was a tragedy for me. Just got to close games better.
I know. That's what happens when you make that fan bet. You know, you got a little reserve money for that. You know, just to have a little fun here and there. And then sometimes, you know, when you catch them, they're nice. But you know, nothing that you're gonna invest serious money with.
Yeah, the feeling to me was, I didn't want Notre Dame to win and me not play nothing on them. You know, play my fan bet where I play the other side or whatever. I wanted with the new coach, the new era, I can't be looking at Brian Kelly's traditions and measuring them up to Marcus Freeman. He's a different guy, and I expect more out of him. So we'll see how that goes when we get to that game. Let's give a shout out to the chat real quick. Shout out to Mo Harris up in here. My man Justin, always right here. And live from North Carolina, ATT33. What's going on? Salute to you, my brother. It's Snizzle. Friday afternoon, man. Y'all have a ball, man. Snizzle is in the house today. Who-Bangin himself right there. Shout out to Snizzle and all he does. Geraldo's in the building as well. Shout out to Geraldo. If we could get those likes up, we've been getting more views, which we greatly appreciate everybody coming in to get these winners, because it's hard to get people to come in here and make money, believe it or not. But you get these people to hit the like button for us, man, and get those likes up. Let us know you was here and got these winners and seeing these beautiful faces on screen early in a Saturday morning. Look at these faces. They won't even scare you. See, you're up now, okay? It's all good, but let's jump into what we do over here, which is cap these college basketball games. Oh, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about where we at week 5 right here. So we do got some numbers we can use in this one. So I kind of weighed out some numbers last night. It didn't work really good for me with the over in the Utah. I've just considered from the numbers, it looked like both of them could actually pass, because they were like plus 200 in the passing range. But both of them was really good on run defense, holding teams to under 100. And I figured if they could run, they'd have to pass and we get a higher score. But that didn't work out last night. I'm going to just say it was a bad edge. Can't assume the numbers was ready at that point in time. And I don't really think they're ready today, but you can kind of take a look at them. There's a couple stats like third down conversions, fourth red zone scores that I kind of consider right now. But how many yards passing and how many yards running could could easily go the other way in these games. So be careful of that. And make sure you bet on teams that you've watched at this point, because you should have some watch hours up. So you shouldn't be betting on teams really that you ain't really seen with your own eye, which helps you get down the line, because now you don't have to watch as much film before, unless you're trying to see a past matchup or something like that, because you kind of got an eye. Like me, I didn't really have to eyes on the Duke Notre Dame game, because I watched that first Duke game throughout. I've checked in on them a couple this time, and of course I see Notre Dame every Saturday. But that's neither here nor there. Let's jump into the good stuff, man. You ready for that? You got anything to tell them about Week 5, Big Ragu? Let me let you give them a couple tips.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of good points by you. Basically, now you're starting to get some data, some numbers, hard numbers to look at. But sometimes you got to take them with a grain of salt after the first couple 3 weeks, because a lot of out of conference game, cupcake games, whatever you want to put it together. But now, most teams have at least 1-2 conference games under their belt now. And now you're starting to see things shape up. Some of the teams took, some early conference games on, like Clemson. They lost 2 games, Florida State, Duke. So you got a little backdrop there. But yeah, just start looking at, like you said, great advice. Pick up teams that you follow and you kind of know a little bit about, and use the betting angles there for them. And then also stay away from a lot of recency bias, because that can kind of tweak things up a little bit for you too. But we'll talk about that. We'll get into some of the games with recency bias too.
Yes, sir. Let's go for it, Big Ragu. Let me switch it up for us real quick. Bring out our first game right here. This one, I believe, me and you are on this game. Clemson and Syracuse, bright and early in the morning. Clemson -7 earlier this week. The over-under is 53. They're playing inside on the turf in Syracuse, New York. I'm going to let you go first on this one, Big Ragu.
Yeah, it was fun. We just mentioned Clemson, right? So that was a good segue there for this one. But this is a very interesting matchup. Syracuse has done a lot of nice things defensively this year. Offense, Garrett Schrader has done a nice job running the offense up there. It's something that they've always kind of been a thorn in Clemson's side. A couple of times we had some sprinkles with these teams, and they've got to the window time too. Not too many times, but with the number, they've been fantastic against Clemson here. Clemson's been, they're still under that same cloud of offensive questions with Klubnik. They've had a couple quarterbacks since, Sunshine left, and they're trying to, get their mojo back on the offensive side. But one thing Clemson does is they play defense. They do it well. Syracuse, I think they're more balanced attack, but their defense is pretty strong too. They've got some pretty good numbers defensively. I think they're like second in yards per play, on line 4, and 15th in total defense. So Syracuse defense is no joke here. And I know Clemson, they want to get that monkey off their back here. So I think would you say the number set at 53? I like the under. I think the under is like 8-2 the last 10. And I would lean Syracuse's way also. Taking the points here. That's a tough place to play up. It used to be called the Carrier Dome. Now it's JMA Wireless. But yeah, I think both teams will be on it defensively, getting after it. And this is like a turnover type game where 1 or 2 turnovers can determine the outcome of the game, which they do in most football games anyway. But this is going to be a close-knit game. It's a 1-score game on the board, and I lean Clemson, but I like the under here.
I'm totally agreeing with that under. For the sake of the show, I'm gonna have my other pick, but I'm on the under with you as well. The under looks great. They're running 48% at Clemson. Third downs, they're 46%, and then in the red zone, they're 58%. So they haven't been quite getting there on offense, and that's one of the things. Like we said, we already stated they have the number 50 defense in the league. So the defense is decent, but the offense is efficient, but yet kind of slow to it. And then Syracuse, on the other hand, on defense, they're holding teams to 44% in the red zone. So that's a big clash right there, which could slow the game down. And they're also running the ball 53% of the time, and they're only covering third downs for 47%. So I really agree with the under as well right here. But as for the side, I'm going to take the side of this for show purposes, and I'm going to take Syracuse. I'm going to take them in the first half plus 3.5. They get after here and get after these guys early in the past meetings. Their ATS is 7 of 9 in the last 9 meetings right here. So they've been covering their home dog in this one. So I'm going to take them right away in the first half. Clemson really does need a win. They need to make a statement here today on the road. There's a lot of factors for Clemson. I mean, Clemson don't get over this hump right here, they're going to be looking really shabby going. We're going to have a whole different type of look at the ACC, which I think is quite possible because Duke at 4-0 in the ACC looks like they could be leading the ACC right now. So Louisville as well could be leading the ACC right now. So it's we might be seeing a change of times right here. I mean, we've already seen it a little bit with Alabama this year or for the past few years. So not just the old school heroes that we used to. We got some new stuff coming. So put me down Syracuse first half plus 3.5. They're going to get the job done early right there. And let me see, do we got any comments out there on this? My screen is a little jaded. Here we go. For anybody got any comments on this one? Okay, we got Notre Dame, Duke. They're already talking about that game. Yeah, we're gonna get to that game. We're gonna get to that game.
Yeah, because ESPN, I think game day's at Duke today.
Yeah, let's jump to the next one right here. This one is Utah State and UConn. So Utah State has showed the ability to score definitely in all the games that they've played up until this point. This is a last out of conference game for Utah State where they can get a win without all the hustle and bustle of the Mountain West. They are favored in this one, but there's long miles they got to get from Utah over to Connecticut. So that's the big issue with the game is the travel. The travel is pretty steep right there. But this UConn team has little to no offense, man. They haven't scored on the what does it say? They haven't scored on the first drive in week 1 yet. So they just haven't got the offense in commission. And Utah State, like I said, they can score. So this might be an opportunity for UConn maybe to get on the board, maybe a little more than usual. But Utah State is going to have a field day trying to get everything clicking before we get into some conference play. So I'm taking Utah State -6. This one kind of jumped off of the board to me. Like, I think it should be Utah State minus like 10 or 8.5 or somewhere way up there. But 6, just one touchdown to beat a UConn team who's 0-4. They're 1-3 against the ATS. They're 1-3 to the under. The offense is not doing great. The defense hasn't had an interception yet. They're and just for namesake right here, I told you guys this didn't mean much, but the defense is holding teams to 153 on the ground, 207 in the air. So I mean, Jim Mora, you was a good name to jump over there, and a lot of people they like what you was doing. You received 9 back on offense, 8 on defense, and you're still 0-4 going into week 4. No razzle, no dazzle, no skabizzle, and it might be a little bit of drizzle out there, but we're taking Utah State right here.
Yeah.
You got anything on that?
I don't hate that look, and I totally agree with you. If there's a spot for UConn's offense to get a little bit of momentum or get some traction, it would have to be against Utah State's defense. And I know you're the Mountain West expert, so defensively, I think both of these teams are challenged. I think offensively, I give the big nod to Utah State here. But then, like you said, that travel spot, it doesn't really put me off 100%. But it's always a concern, and how they're going to make that adjustment, because that's a pretty long cross country travel for a team like that. And I understand what Mora does. He tries to get these games scheduled, and a little bit of, like, he took on Duke the first week of the season. They got blasted by Duke, and Duke defensively is up on it too. So that even gives you a better look on it. But you can't weigh that game out, though, because Connecticut, like I said, their offense is struggling a little bit here. I think the quarterback Robinson, he's got like 500 yards all season. So and a couple touchdowns to go with and interception. So they're still trying to get their identity. I think today they kind of make things possible. And I think Utah State's going to score points, and I think Connecticut might finally, crack that 20 spot here. So I could lean towards the over here. I don't have a spot on it. If you had to play a total, what would you think would happen?
If I had to play the total, I'd probably play the over as well. Utah State defense is not the greatest. They're giving up 170 on the ground and 241 in the air. So, like we say, they should be able to get on the board a couple of times. But Utah just scored 38 points last week in a loss. They get in the 30s very easily. So I expect them to get in the 30s and shoot. Maybe we get a 34-21 game right here, and everybody goes home happy. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, I look to the over. It's not official for me.
Well, it's official for me right here, and I'm gonna make this a 2-unit play because it's my favorite play of the day right here.
Wow.
West, right here, 2-unit play. Utah State -6. Let's get it. Next game up, USC Colorado. USC a whopping 21-point favorite. I think it went down to 21. It was 25 when I did this. The over and under is at 73.5. They're telling you somehow Colorado's going to score, even though they don't have the offensive line. But this is from Colorado. And it is not the ESPN game of the day this time, but it is in Colorado. It's probably going to be star-studded again. I haven't looked it up to see how much the seats cost, but they were like over $500 last time. I'm interested. I'm all the way off of this game. I don't want to be. I won a little money with Colorado early, and I'm gonna leave it at that until they play some competition that we could get a 6 or 7 or some type of line like that in between them. But I'm off this game. This is a Big Ragu special right here. Big Ragu's been on the total. He's been on the side. He's been able to juggle this USC team pretty well. What are you gonna do right here, Big Ragu?
Well, the first question is, or the first comment would be here. Like, I'm going to take a comment from Mike Tyson. Everybody had a game plan until they got punched right in the mouth, right? Well, Colorado, all the hype they've been getting, they didn't get punched in the mouth. They got punched in the gut, and they got body slammed at Oregon last week. So I think this is the type of game where they can see how, the character of the team, which I don't doubt it. Everybody's, all over the Coach Prime thing, which I get that. And it was a novelty when they beat TCU on, and now they're, starting to get into the tougher, things, schedules, not taking nothing away from them because, they're going to grow. It's going to be a process for them too. But I think today is a good opportunity for their offense to get back on track. And I know defensively, with Travis Hunter's out. I heard that Deion's boy Shiloh was dinged up a little bit. And then I was going to reach out to you and talk about their transfer from the kid from Florida, Lakeland. He was going to step up in that role, and he's unhappy. So he was missing practice time or game time film and stuff like that. So Deion put him on blast. So he's talking about being unhappy, leaving possibly. So they got some issues in the secondary right now. So, and you're going up against, Williams, Heisman Trophy candidate, and star-studded receivers. I see sparks flying everywhere on the field offensively here. It's a tall number, 73 and a half, but I think we hit the 80s, maybe possibly 90 in this game. I know USC's lowest effort's been 42 points at Arizona State, which they did not cover that game. I think they might have I'm not sure if they got the team total in that game, but on the bigger side of things, all the points they've scored, Stanford, Nevada, and San Jose State, 56, 56, 66, and then 42 against Arizona State first game out. They're going to put points up, and I think the offense for Colorado is going to definitely put some points up too. They're going to rebound and score points. So I can see like this point. The way I charted this game out was basically going to be like about a 50 USC probably getting the 50s and Colorado getting the mid 30s, I would say. So I see like 80, 83, 84, 80, 86 points here in this game. So I'm definitely all over the over here again.
Yikes. That's a big number right there. You heard it right here first on the boss of the sauce. They'll get there. You got to believe to achieve. So if you believe in us, you believe in my man Big Ragu, stack up on that over. Believe in your bet too, because you got to go to the window by yourself anyways. But
yeah, that's right.
If you convinced of it, then add it all up and get.
It's a player I've already made early in the week too, because I figured that number would climb up a little bit. I'm in at 73. It's sitting, like you said, 73 and a half. So I think it goes up. It's tall, but it'll get there.
Yes, we shall believe. Next up, Another one of Big Ragu's game. It was crazy because me and Big Ragu, we exchanged which games we on, but not the actual picks. And all of his games that he's on, quite a few of them I looked at and they were a pass. So I'm excited to see what has Big Ragu got in this one. I was on Sam Houston against Houston.
Yeah.
This Texas Tech team is sporadic.
Very sporadic.
Very sporadic, but you know it's out of conference play. This is Houston's first year over here in the Big 12. Texas Tech is a nice place to play at home, and they usually run it up. That to me, that total off top looked kind of low. On a hot day in the Texas Tech Stadium, they bound to score 70 points maybe. But what do you got on this game right here at AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas today?
I'm going against the sharp, the public, whoever. I know this total has come crashing down. Right, this is a total that was in the higher 50s, like 6-7 points higher. It's kind of I talked about this on Jimmy's show earlier in the week too. Texas Tech, it's been a weird season for them. You know, even though they've only won one game. You know, they had a rough outing last week at West Virginia. They lost 13-20. They lost their quarterback. You know, he's kind of nicked up there, and there's been some questions on the offense. You know, the offensive line. You know, not pass protecting, and so they've had their issues. You know, they had a cupcake game before that game. They went on the road 41-3 against the Tarleton school or whoever they are. But Oregon and Wyoming, you know, they got 30 points in those games. But you know, then coming out of that cupcake game and going on the road to West Virginia, you know, that might have been a sleepy spot for them, or just, you know, things not putting together offensively. So I get that. That's a recency bias look to me. And then on the other side of the ball, you know, with Houston, this is a team that's starting to find their stride a little bit, I think, offensively. So, and like you said, usually these games in Texas, you know, these Big 12 type games are, you know, we think the defense is going to set up. You know, Hogerson's finally got, I think, Houston in a good spot offensively. And I know a lot of the sharps and everything are thinking, you know, because of that bad effort with the West Virginia game and a little bit of recency bias there. I think, you know, they've had a week to kind of regroup and put things together. But I think, you know, they're a lot of people talked about their defense, you know, when they play up a little bit, but I don't see it happening here. I think, you know, these higher level teams, if you go back and look at your Oregon and Wyoming's not a big offensive minded team, but they scored 35 on them. So I think Houston can put up, you know, 30s here too, and I think they'll put up at least 30 themselves. So I'm on the over here again. I know I'm probably giving a lot of totals, but to me that's the value here. So I'm going to be on it, and I would lean Houston side too here, catching those points. I think it's a little bit of an overlay, you know, with that 8. I think Houston can stay within one score here. So I would be on the over for sure, because I think I'm getting a better number. All the fluff is gone now, so I'm going to be contrarian. I think the spot's real low. I think it's too low. That's why I like the over better, and I lean Houston plus the points.
Awesome, man. So I like the over in that one as well. It's like I said, just from eyeballing it. But hold the show, stop everything. Big shout out to our longtime friend right here, Red Girl in the chat.
Hey,
our pleasure to have such a great capper. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. That's the greatest female capper I ever worked with. Is Red Girl. Y'all make sure y'all go give her a follow on Twitter. She's still laying out picks to this day. I mean, it's been probably 5 or 6 years of capping with Red Girl. So big shout out to Red Girl. Our pleasure. Miami. Yeah, out of Miami. Our pleasure to have Red Girl in our chat. I tell you that any day of the week. But next up, Michigan and Nebraska. Michigan minus a whopping 17 right here. The over-under is at 39. They're going to be in Nebraska over here at Memorial Stadium, 92 degrees a day at 12:30. Now, this one is not one of my best picks of the day, but I'm getting involved with this game right here because I've kind of studied Nebraska pretty good. I've been keeping my eye on Michigan. it's quite contrarian, kind of like I was last night, because I kind of leaned over in this one, even though both of these teams are really, really big to the under right here. So, but I'm not getting to the window with that over. My play on this one is going to be Nebraska. And this is just one that I've seen a lot of value in. You give me 2 quarters in the first half for Nebraska to score 1 touchdown. Nebraska team total over 3.5 right here at this spot. And I see Nebraska as a team that could put some points on the board. They're a work in process. One of the few teams I've seen, excuse me, that's improving week by week under Matt Rule right here. And this Michigan team has been great and slow. Like they kind of do things in the manner that they do it, step by step. And a lot of teams have figured out how to get one on the board against Michigan. I'm looking for, and it was funny, I was looking last night too as well. I'm looking for some punt returns. I'm looking for some pick sixes. I'm looking for some fumbles. It's about that time of the year where these things usually are the things that kill me. But I haven't seen much of it right now. Like last night, I was on that over with the Utah and 2 great defense. I think I could have got a couple pick sixes or fumble returns or fumbles that put teams in great position to score. And that's what I'm really looking for in Nebraska. I'm looking for them to make a defensive stand because they're doing good on defense. They're actually ranked number 28. They have 14 sacks, Nebraska, that they out there getting, and 3 interceptions. So they've been getting money on defense, and I expect them to bring that to the game today. I guess the Michigan team hasn't really been tested, even though they did play Rutgers, who's Rutgers is pretty, hard-nosed team right now. Not a team that you just don't do your homework for. But 31-7 in that game. Interesting facts on this one. Michigan ATS 0-3-1. The over and under 0-4 to the under. Nebraska 1-3 to the under, and 2-2 ATS. So I think Nebraska might have a chance at the full game to break that 17 for it to be so low versus them. But I'm gonna go team total over 3.5 first half for me. You got anything on this one, Big Ragu?
Yeah, the first thing I was looking at was the big spread and then the low total. That's telling me that they think Nebraska is not going to score a lot of points here. And I think their team total was set. What you said? You got what 3.5 for the first half? Over
3.5, over 3.5.
Yeah,
I think
the game was like 9.5 or something like that for full game. That's kind of low, but it's juiced up a little bit, to get to the over side of things. But and what the reason that number is so low is because Michigan's offense, they haven't been, putting up the big numbers. They've been struggling a little bit offensively. And to your point, Nebraska's defense is not that bad, but what Nebraska's been doing is they've been turning the ball over. They turned I think they in the first couple games they coughed it up like 8 times. So that's to be expected. You got a new coach coming in, and Rule is going to turn this program around, but usually it's a slow burn for him. He's not one of these guys that wins right away. But they don't have to win in this spot, obviously. They're 2-2 on the season. With 2 they started out against Minnesota, they lost a low scoring game. They put up 10 there. They beat Colorado. We know what happened there. Colorado had a big win over them. And they were getting 3 points there. It's 14-36. But then they play a decent Northern Illinois team, and they covered that as a 12.5-point favorite. Then I think this was kind of a look-ahead spot for Nebraska. Louisiana Tech, which I know you love that team, right? Nebraska, they took care of business. I mean, they won the game, but they didn't cover theirs. They won by 2 touchdowns. They were laying like almost 21 points. So now come Michigan, I think all the focus was put, on that look-ahead spot with this game here. And you know what? I don't hate the Nebraska side. I think that's their first big game on the road, to go out with big number. And I kind of lean Nebraska here too with you. I like that. And then under kind of looks a little sneaky too. I think if Nebraska's going to play defense and keep points off the board, I lean the under too. So I don't have official play here, but I don't hate Nebraska side, and I kind of lean to the under.
Absolutely. Well, put me in officially for that first half team total over 3.5. Nebraska will find a way to score today at home. Let's go, Nebraska. Next up, New Mexico and Wyoming. This is a 1 o'clock game right here. Now, this one also jumped off the board for me. It's a little later in the evening. I see how I do on my Utah play for 2 units, and I might add a unit to this play right here. I got a lot of chatter in the background for this one, but I had it on paper already that some crazy way, and New Mexico is probably one of the worst teams in the Mountain West, but I'm backing New Mexico today. They're in Wyoming, which is supposed to be a hard place to play, but it's not that time of the year yet. It's a nice 74 degrees out there. I never really believed in Peasley over here at Wyoming at quarterback. He's been getting by the skim of his beak sometimes, and he's already thrown 2 interceptions. He has 5 touchdowns. He's not very, very mobile. New Mexico, Rocky Long has put his footprint there for some decent defense. Even though they're not doing the greatest on defense at this point in time, it's still there. But where this team was supposed to excel long ago before Danny Gonzalez is now in the hot seat on his 4th year, was they're supposed to excel on offense. And this year he received 8 back on offense, and they've been able to score a lot more lately. Now, the interesting side to this is Wyoming seems to be the only team that Danny Green can beat. Like, he's actually beat him, and he's also very good ATS over here against Wyoming as well. So it's probably one of the greatest shots on the board for Danny Gonzalez to actually maybe get a win today, a win that means something, that might open people's eyes to New Mexico. On the Wyoming team that's been playing pretty good, they're 3-1, but they just come off a tough battle against App State, and they had a couple overtimes out of conference. That's what pulled a lot of their points, make their offense. So the numbers on their offense are not really that true, because a couple of those games were in overtime that just, exceeded more points and more points. So they're not really scoring that many touchdowns compared to the type of points you see with the stats. So I'm expecting Wyoming to feel like, at home or something, and they don't got to do this or whatever. I'm hoping that New Mexico comes in and adjusts to the elevation. They should be used to it. They coming from a desert to like a high altitude. So I don't know. It's the difference of two evils. But the record between these two coaches is really tight. Danny Gonzalez has been able to cover ATS 3 of these. So let's see what we get today. I'm taking New Mexico plus 14 in this spot. One of my favorite spots of the day. I got to budget myself out today. So, if I win big in Utah State, which is going to be my first 2-unit play, then I'm going to double down on this one right here, y'all.
You're going to come back hard on this one, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, I get it. See, this is where you do it the best, the Mountain West. That's why you're the Mountain West expert. Me, not so much, but if you look at things on the surface, like you said, that's a great breakdown on, the one-on-one matchup in the series, New Mexico, Wyoming. But if you back that out and you look at the other numbers, you got to say, hey, Wyoming looks like the play here, good quality win at App State, blocking that field goal, scoring a touchdown late, and low scoring game at home. Laramie, they've had pretty. This is going to be their 4th game in 4 out of 5 games at home for this team. So they went on Texas and lost 31-10 before that App State game. But yeah, I get that. This could be like a little sleepy look here for Wyoming or for New Mexico. Coming in to Laramie, where they got another home game next week against Fresno State. Maybe looking ahead a little bit in that game, possibly. I don't know. You probably know a little bit more about the game plan here, but yeah, I don't have a plan in this game, but I see on the surface, Mexico struggles ATS 2-9 out of the last 11, but and then all the reading I did up on this one, a lot of people like the New Mexico side, so I don't have a spot on it, but I gotta tell my guy Big Boss here on this. If he likes New Mexico, time to get to the window with it.
Hey, I'm gonna tell all y'all in the chat right now, man, get a little piece of this right here. It's good value in this. I see the recency bias in it. It's conference time this week. This is going to be my prime example of how the conference time changes what we thought a team was, or how good they look, in the non-conference games. But let's keep this show moving to the next one right here. Iowa State and Oklahoma. I mean, I did the whole breakdown on this game to put a big pass on the side of this one, Big Ragu. I totally passed on this one. And
you got off of it.
Like I said, Big Ragu has been on everyone that I passed on. So, Big Ragu, explain this one to me, because I'm gonna tell you what I had. I really wanted to take Oklahoma going into the game. My key has been watching Brent Venables over there, who in his second year, he's doing really well. It is the defense that's keeping the offense on the field, and they're able to score more points nowadays. So I really like Oklahoma. But when I go back to the conference view of this and the history of this situation right here, I kind of want to lean Iowa State, even though Iowa State has been playing so bad lately. They're 34% on third down, 60% in the red zone. The defense is still decent as it should, but it's another one of those spots that I think could run over just because of the history of those two teams lining up in the Big 12. One of the Big 12 specials that look like we just talked about. Looks like it's going to be a great defensive standoff. Iowa State only has defense. Oklahoma improving on defense, but it may just go over to 48.5. So where are you on this one, Big Ragu?
Yeah, you think this game would bleed a little bit over, with Oklahoma's defense, like you said, has been kind of holding things down. But, when they got Dillon from UCF, I figured, okay, they're going to start opening up the offense and, be a high-flying team, with all the Heisman candidates they had in the years past. But, respect to Matt Campbell, his name's got thrown over the years for a pro job. He's done a nice job with that team. So I guess he wants to stick around there for a while, coaching that squad up there at Iowa State. But, one thing Oklahoma's been doing really, really good early on is they've been scoring points right out of the gate. And then, they've been having comfortable leads. And then they've been putting it back on their defense a little bit. So I think as far as scoring, they're ranked 14th in the nation right now, so they're still a top 25 team. But, they've won all their games. They're 4-0. Really, they beat Arkansas State 73-0 and then Tulsa 66-17. But, against tougher Cincinnati 26 and SMU 28-11, I figured they would kind of stretch their legs a little bit here. But I think same type of scenario happens here. I think they come up against an Iowa State team that's going to be up to the task. They might, survive some early scares possibly. And I think Oklahoma's going to continue that trend here. And I think Iowa State can kind of hang around late, but I think they're still 2 scores better. I don't know if they're 3 scores better, but they're definitely 2 scores better. And I think the 2 scores are going to be early on in the game here. So I kind of like a first half look here with Oklahoma. I think right now we can. It kind of crept up a little bit to 10.5. I bet at 10 early in the week, but it's still minus 110 either way. So I still don't hate the look. I think Oklahoma gets to the window in the first half. For show purposes, I'm going to lay the 10.5, but I bet it at 10. So give me Oklahoma in the first half minus 10.5.
Big Ragu, Oklahoma, first half minus 10.5. I don't have no corners with that. Like I said, I was looking for a way to jump on Oklahoma.
And I know some of the steam has come back towards the under a little bit. Just not to interrupt you, but some of the money's come back on the under here too.
Well, I don't know. That total could bounce around anywhere.
Yeah.
It could be a 17-6 game, or it could be a 37-26 game. You never know in the Big 12.
I think the numbers are pretty sharp on this one. Like I said, I think Iowa State is capable of getting a back door here. It's very scary. Oklahoma could be up like by 24, and all of a sudden here comes Iowa State and lose by 17. You know what I mean? So
yeah, especially in the Brock Purdy days at Iowa State, it'd be a It'd be a good second half
now,
comeback. Right? Yeah, look at Brock Purdy now. Be a great second half game in this one with Purdy back in the day.
Yeah, maybe look Iowa State in the second half. Like I said, Oklahoma first half, Iowa State second half.
Nice look right there. Moving on to this one right here. Now, this one I didn't look too deep into. I winked at it. I mean, we just on. I haven't really watched Michigan State. I did get a chance to watch Iowa. Iowa is the same old Iowa. Low scoring, very good defense. Michigan State has been bouncing around. They don't have an identity yet. They don't. I can't really call them. I mean, this is a Big Ten conference play, and anything can happen right here. But this Iowa defense is tougher than leather over here. So I've seen some stuff out there saying that this was a good spot for Iowa to score some points some way, somehow. But not a game that I wanted to get interested in. What do you feel about this one right here, Big Ragoon?
Well, it's a controversial game, with the firing of Tucker, up at Tucker. I think he had like a $95 million contract, 10-year deal he signed with Michigan State. Like in is into his third year. I don't know how they handle that, but this is one of those games where, how is the team going to respond? I know to start off the season, it's been rocky for them. I bet them the first week, which I shouldn't have, but I did. They were getting a lot of points at home, and they got walloped. But we know what Iowa is. We know what they do. With Ferentz, longest tenured coach in college football. They always have a top-tier defense. They play a lot of D. Michigan State, like you said, as a perfect example, the identity, where they going, how they're going to put things together. I really don't see a whole lot of positivity on the Michigan State side, and Iowa's as a team that struggles offensively. So even though Michigan State has their problems, what is Iowa State going to? What's Iowa? What's Iowa? The Hawkeyes going to present. They're going to present defense. They're going to bring it on. Up at Kinnick Stadium, they play tough at home, really, really tough there. So I don't see Michigan State scoring a lot, and honestly, I don't really trust Iowa's offense either. So that's a low number. Usually, when I get into these lower 30s, the middle 30s, I tend to stay away from. But when they're like 32, 33, I usually puts me on unders. And I capped the game still under 30 points here, believe it or not. But I don't trust Iowa State to cover it on the side. But I think, Iowa State's I keep saying Iowa State. Iowa's defense is going to be up to the task here, and Michigan's State's going to try to figure things out. So I think points are going to be at a premium in this game. So I love the under here. It's a low number. I'd be surprised if this game cracks 30 points. I could see this game like 17-7 or 20-7, something like that. So I was going to score 20-something. Michigan maybe 10 if they're lucky. Michigan State 10. So I'm on the under 36.5.
My man Noli Knows says it's low for a reason, Big Ragu. And
you know it, Noli. You know it. I know it. It's low for a reason, exactly.
Hey, so hit the like button right here for this connection on the under with the under guy. Noli Knows in the chat right there.
That's our guy right there, Mr. Under himself.
Shout out to Don Play in the house as well. No worries of being late, bro. Showing up is good enough for us, man. Get in here when you can.
Yeah, go back and watch it back a little bit too. Easy enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we try to keep it moving at a good pace. So we actually ahead of the schedule of the guests that I had coming in. So I'll be able to spend a little more time on this one right here. So let me take a sip of this.
Nice cup.
Nice cup. This is to me, this more seems like a good chance for Duke to get a good loss compared to Notre Dame losing 2 in a row. Bouncing back, and I don't understand, like, it's football. Nobody's taking it to heart. I don't think the players in the locker room are over there saying, well, the coaches ain't doing their job. Why should I do my job or something? It was a heat of a moment. We have a young coach. They make those kind of mistakes. It's bad that he does have a staff, and they allowed it to go 2 plays with only 10 men on the field. But it is what it is. Shoot, it was a few inches from a stop, even with only 10 players on the field. So it was a great game. I think it showed it. We got out of there pretty banged up just a little bit, but nothing major. Nobody's major going down. But we have so much depth, like at running back. It really just matters the trenches right here. And I think Notre Dame is far greater in the trenches, especially our offense versus their defense. And then our defensive line is great too. So our defensive line poses a threat to their offense as well. The 4-0 here at Duke is a lot of out of conference. So they did do the great job against Clemson. Last week, who was it? Connecticut, 41-7. So, they're 3-1 ATS, 2-1-1 to the over, basically. Notre Dame is 3-1-1. We actually played an extra game, and we also played a team like Ohio State, which was a real good matchup. And so on the road, Marcus Freeman has been doing decently. He's like 3-1 or something like that on the road, ATS. So a good spot for him to get some payback. Good spot for him to take this team out of Indiana, take ownership of the team, take ownership of your mistakes, get back in this game right here, and get some get right for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame right here. I gotta hop on Notre Dame at such a short number, like 5.5. It was more and it's going down. I love it. Give me Notre Dame minus the 5.5. And I'm going to lean. I'm not going to get to the window with the total because it does seem set up for a great under. Both teams play great defense. Both teams can handle holding the run. They play pretty good pass defense as well. Notre Dame only allowing 149 in the air, and Duke doing better than that, only allowing 143 in the air. Duke with 8 sacks for the season for the defense, and Notre Dame with 7 sacks. So a lot of it tends to lead me to the under. But Marcus Freeman has burnt me so many times on the road going over. It's like he turns into the Ohio State guy. We're not in Indiana. We have no reason to play a respectable game. We just want to get score, and test all of our weapons. So this could be a good bounce back for Notre Dame. Imagine Notre Dame wins by a 20 today or something like that. That we might move up in the ranks or something if we can get the job done today. So very important game for Notre Dame. I will be watching. Not sure where at yet, but I'm going to dig in and watch this one and have some fun. I got my Notre Dame outfit already lined up. I already have my Notre Dame coffee. And Notre Dame does great against the ACC too. Notre Dame's like 6-1 against the ACC or something like that. And in this series, Notre Dame is 5-2 straight up, but 2-2 ATS since 2007. So on the road right here, I'm on Notre Dame. You got anything on this one?
Yeah, I got a little something on this game here. Let's talk about Notre Dame having 10 guys on the field for 2 plays. What's going on with that, man? Come on, you come out of a timeout and you do that. Come on, that's a headbanger, man. It's got to be aggravating. But yeah, they let that one slip away. They got the money. If you got to the window late, you got the money with them. But I like the under here. I think we're going to see both. Let's talk about the quarterbacks first. Sam Hartman has played Duke a couple of times in his career. Being a Wake Forest transfer, a graduate student. I like to see him have a good, solid game today. And I'm a big Hartman fan. I was glad you guys got him. He's going to be playing on Sundays without question. And the guy on the other side of the field, Riley Leonard, he's what makes that offense go for Duke. He's going to be playing on Sundays also. But I think the emphasis on this game is going to be on the defensive side, where Duke's defense is legit. They're a top tier defense in my book right now. Normally we're talking about the Big 12, the Big 10 defenses. Duke and the ACC, I got to put them up with Clemson because look what they did to Clemson early on, even though they have their offensive struggles right now. So we can't discount Duke's defense just yet. So, and I think they're going to present a little bit of trouble early on. So I think that kind of slows things down. I don't think we see the big offensive. I know you say, Freeman puts the overs to you on the road here, but I think Duke's going to be up to the task here. We're going to see two great quarterbacks. It's going to be the intelligent. I think I got to lean towards Hartman. He's got the experience, and Riley's coming along nicely for Duke here. But Duke, they've started a bunch of times 4-0. They've never hit 5-0. I think you got to go back to Spurrier. When's the last time Duke's got a 5-0 start? So Notre Dame doesn't have to cover the game; they could win it and still help their cause. And I think Duke, this is probably going to be their biggest game of the year going forward. So I think it's going to be a defensive battle early on. I like the under. I like the full game under 52.5. Put me on that. I know I got a lot of unders today, man. I'm on a lot of totals today, unfortunately. But you know what? Totals cash just as well as sides. So put me on the under here. I'll take another under for me. That's 3 of them. Under 52.5 Notre Dame. Dude.
There it is right here. And I guess I'm taking Notre Dame on this one minus 5.5. That's all for our program bets for today. But we do have a special guest we're going to bring in just in a second. One of our guys, he's been out here with us before. This guy gets the Worth Ethic Award of the Year for Cappers because this guy is on every day early in the morning for 2 hours going through everything. So make sure y'all follow this guy when he comes on and definitely listen what he has to say and check out what he got going over there. Our guy, Ramon. How you feeling today, Ramon?
Guys, I can't wait for this. I know last week was, supposed to be the big deal, and I guess all the game, the games lived up to expectations. Today might not be the same, but looking forward to this card. I didn't know. I don't know if I missed my cue there, but I'm all with Ragu on the Notre Dame Duke game. Let's go under. I'm not scared. I mean, I thought it was kind of contrarian, Ragu. I mean, think of what you've seen so far: Hartman 14 touchdowns and no picks, but no, I think I prefer defense. And look at the move on the total, right? It's gone down 2 points. So I think I want under. I think I want some defense in that game. Look, I love Hartman, but you said it. I mean, there's familiarity there.
Yeah.
Now, Big Boss, you want to go down and talk about the Aztec game?
Let's talk about it. I'm always ready to, even when I'm not on the game, I really have a play on the game in the Mountain West, but sometimes it's just not worth getting to the window. Big shout out to my production crew right here, charging me back up because I was about to die out. But let's go for it. What you looking at? What's your edge in this one?
Well, that's my team. So I didn't know if I had missed my cue to get in on the show and see you guys. And thank you for that introduction. But we got some problems down here all of a sudden. I mean, I think they're apparent on the field, but San Diego State, we tore down our old relic of a stadium, and they built basically a campus on the new site that involves a stadium, and it's a neat looking stadium. We got issues. All of a sudden people aren't showing up. And I guess when, the wins aren't coming anymore like they used to, and the opponents aren't big time, we're in a little bit of a quandary down here. Well, I'm in Vegas now, but in San Diego, there's some questions about, there was no other way around it. That old stadium, the old Qualcomm Stadium, guys. I mean, it was a real relic. I mean, it had to be done away with. But the reason why we lost an NFL team there is because we don't have a real stadium. Well, they built a real nice college football stadium. They could even put the Holiday Bowl there. You can have world class. They've already played, international soccer games there and everything. But all of a sudden, what maybe was supposed to be 35,000 every Saturday, it's kind of turned into about half that already. And now with the money taking off with all those teams, I said this week about the Pac-12, the breakup of the conference. I know these quarterbacks are going to leave. Maybe the teams won't be as good as this because this feels like the magical year. But I know I'm getting off the game track, but I think it's going to benefit the Pac-12, those schools that are moving, right? Because isn't that going to increase that ever so tough recruiting base to get players a little bit to come out west, and maybe kind of gets rid of the friendly fire of the Pac-12 a little bit, how they a lot of their downfall was knocking off each other because it's such a crazy conference with some poor defense and that couldn't stand the test of time. But I'll give you a play on that Aztec game if you want. I know I'm all over the place.
Go for it.
I'll take over tonight there with Air Force. San Diego State isn't going to be able to stop Air Force's running game. Come on. It's not the same defense right now. I don't care how many times they've seen it in the past. The total kind of is going down there too, a little bit dropping in that game. Sure, the Aztecs have trouble scoring, but I think they've shown in conference a little bit the scoring picks up even with the safety playing quarterback. I'll go over. But anyways, my take on the Pac-12 is this will benefit all those teams, and those teams will go on to greater success. Did hear some talking heads this week saying that, maybe this is just a swan song for the conference with all these great quarterbacks. Because look at this Washington game today. I mean, They are just a wonderful team, right? And what Oregon did, look, you had me on last time, Colorado. We'll talk about them every time. But let's not. Oregon's pretty special right now. I mean, on both sides. So all these Pac-12 teams, and they can keep the momentum, I think, moving forward into those big conferences. Now, the Pac-2 championship game, those teams are screwed, unfortunately. And seeing Oregon State with another pretty nice performance last night, they're going to be stuck somewhere with the Mountain West Pac leftovers. I don't know what they're going to call it.
West Pac.
But yeah,
I thought West Pac.
Well, the Pac West makes sense, but there actually is already a Pac West. It's a division, I believe, it's the Division II.
Oh, really? Wow.
Some of the California schools, big, well, you might know of it. The Pac West, it's like the Concordias or something like that. Anyway, but I guess they could just pay them $1 million and get that name.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, I'll tell you this much, Ramon. San Diego State is focused on the wrong stuff. They're politicking too hard with all this Pac-12 and all this stuff, and they're not putting the product on the field. I said it earlier in my breakdown on San Diego State earlier in the year. You can't take somebody you recruited as a safety and bring them over to quarterback. Why? Because they're a great athlete. To have a successful quarterback, the guy got to have an arm, an IQ. He's got to have some of those qualities at quarterback to be able to be a great quarterback. Maiden is a great athlete. He probably could be more beneficial at wide receiver if you guys had a great quarterback. And that's what's exactly. And the running game at San Diego State is not what it used to be. Is not what it's supposed to be. The offensive line is not what it used to be. Is not what it's supposed to be. I think the key with San Diego State just might be in too much politicking. I mean, the Snapdragon Stadium was actually part of failure. Last year, something in the design made it so hot on the field. People were passing out right and left. So there's a big discrepancy with that. I don't know how they fixed that coming into to this year, but now you talk about people trying to retrieve money that they put out. And so all of this has nothing to do with the product that's on the field. And it's almost a shame because San Diego produces great athletes in-house. On top of that, you have the whole San Bernardino thing, which is producing a lot of athletes, and that's very close to San Diego. They play some of those teams from time to time. So it should be the birthplace of some great California athletes to put a great product on the field. I think Rocky Long's footprint is slowly moving away, even though Brady Hoke does a good job teaching the defense year in, year out, but they're not getting what they used to get out of the 3-3-5. So in this game against Air Force, Air Force is doing great. They're even passing the ball a little better this year. The new rule with the players being able to be a little heavier on the line has been helping on the offense. They have a really, really great defense as well. So that's probably the reason for the line dropping. But like you said, low key, Air Force can get over the total by themselves the way the defensive line and the defense is working at San Diego State. Really down on San Diego State, but guess what's probably going to happen? They're going to probably improve a little bit going in further down in the season because we've seen them do it before. Like sometimes you try to count San Diego State, like it almost looks like no way. How are they going to score? But they will put a few touchdowns on the board today. So that's my look on San Diego State, and that's why it's a pass. We also have one of our greatest guests to come in this chat for year in, year out. Danielle Ragus is in the building, and she says, "Hi, Dad." So,
Got that Gamecock.
Baby.
So one game I want to touch on, it was a game that I've been kind of scoping, and that's Appalachian State and Louisiana Monroe. So there's a lot of chatter out there saying Louisiana Monroe has been putting a horrible product on the field, although they're like 2-1 or something, anyways. But they say the offense couldn't beat a high school team. Is some of the mentions out there, and now we got an App State that got to be hungry off after that loss. They in the same situation. They in the same situation like Notre Dame. They got to get out and show people that they the real deal, and they've been the real deal. They have a great running back over there in the running back Noel. He's going to chalk it up and run some stuff this week over there, especially if Louisiana Monroe defense is a little soft and the team is a little zesty, as they say. But I'm liking laying that 13.5 with App State in this game. Anybody got anything on that?
No, I don't have anything on that spot. Nothing.
Oh, well, I think you're getting the best of it for sure. It looks to me like the move has been on Monroe all the way. So App State, to me, if you're going to lay value's a term, guys. I mean, right? The most one of those overused terms. To me, value is it's perceived. If I say there's value, it's because I think App State's going to win by 20. But really, to me, value is like going to the supermarket. If the price was 17 and now it's 13, the value is on App State.
That is there. Another game that I looked at, I want to know what you guys think about this. Pretty big game today. I'm sure Big Ragu, I don't know why it wasn't on his card, but that's South Carolina and Tennessee. We've been following Spencer Rattler for a long time. He had his greatest game last year against Tennessee. And I don't know, I think people don't like Heupel or something because he seems to do pretty well to me. I think he should be rated a little tougher than they rating. But, they kind of down on Tennessee in the SEC right now. What do you think about this, Big Ragu?
Well, I think Tennessee's kind of lost some of their luster, coming out. The questions was Hooker, him leaving, and then how, the adaptation to the offense, how quick they were going to implement. And Heupel's usually pretty good at getting his quarterbacks up to speed, but it hasn't worked that way this year for him. And South Carolina, they had Georgia on the ropes, quality team. Beamer, this team's number one in special teams, as all the Beamer family names carried on over the years. The defensive leader up to it. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an overlay. Now you need 2 score. You're getting a 2-score territory. A game that opened up at I think 10 points roughly. So some of the numbers have moved in the direction as far as the side goes, but I think the money and the number of bets have come in on South Carolina here. So it's starting to tick back down. I see some 12s, 12.5 starting to trickle down to 11.5. So I mean, I don't hate it. It's almost like a reverse line move in my book here, maybe a little Vegas head fake. So I lean South Carolina. Just that's a fan bet though for me here. I'm gonna watch it, maybe a live type bet, maybe get into that one. I want to circle back on one game though that I talked about earlier in the week and I didn't talk about on the show. Was at Boston College, and I just looked at the number and it just kind of blew me away here. So you got one win Boston College versus a 0-4 Virginia team. Calandra came in, did some nice work early on when they had that Monmouth transfer, the quarterback that went out. I guess he's coming back to start today. I think they were pretty good moving the ball down the field, but wasn't efficient in putting points on the board. I bet Boston College early in the week. I was on Jimmy's show, late 3. It's up to 4.5 right now. So, and that move came this morning, a full point. It ticked up to 3.5. Somebody laid some big money on it. Now it's sitting at 4.5. That's an interesting game there. I don't know if I chased the 4.5, but I still have in my book, I still have BC winning by at least a touchdown. So it's up to you. Do what you want with it. People don't like to chase, bad numbers, but I still think they get there. 4.5 is a tricky number though.
Yeah, it's interesting the moves on Virginia, right? Because they haven't been winning very many games, and we, think about what they've been going through, with their program. I mean, they're
Oh,
on a
yeah.
pretty bad run. They're losing 13 of their last 15. But look, the move has subtly been to Virginia here. So it looks to me, you'd think it might be an ugly game but I think that things are going to actually end up getting pretty loose in this game, and it'll be high volatility. So I guess I could grab the points, but I think more so I'm gonna end up going over. I just think it might
Over, yeah. I can see that. I mean, they've been moving the ball. They just haven't been equating to wins and points in a lot of ways. But
right, and now
your offense has been moving the ball.
Teams are nothing special. There's no defense necessarily here, especially Boston College having allowed 30 points or more in 10 of their last 12 games.
Yeah, that's what's up right there. But we're moving towards the end of this one, man. I don't know if we got any more questions from them or anything else you want to let them know, Ramon. Once again, Tony's Picks every morning on the West Coast, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You get our guy Ramon Scott on there doing his thing every day. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. You got any other information you want to let them know, Ramon?
Well, before I came on, I saw the queue and I was like, man, I hope I'm not late there, but I'm firing away. I'm trying to look at some of these FCS games too. I love these, so they come out right at game time. So maybe if I could come on and have something like that, but appreciate it. I'm at tonyspicks.com over there, but yeah, mostly on YouTube every day. I did it on purpose because we know some of our best buddies that do shows every day come on a little bit later than that. And not that anybody's going to watch me over them, but I just thought, you know what? No one's going on at 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific on these YouTube channels that kind of look like, Who-Bangin and all these other ones that we're so fond of. So I'm like, maybe if I could just get on there first and steal a little bit of audience, and it's been okay.
Come on and have breakfast with you. Get a cup of coffee and get some winners.
I was going to have a little contest or something. I'll buy you a coffee or something like that. Lately, this week, I think I should be buying more than that. But the last 2 nights, it hasn't been as great, but been on a real good roll. So just check out the show, though, and I'll let you know everything there. And usually I just go over the day's betting card for that day, and then also kind of look ahead to the weekend, kind of knock out some videos. They're kind enough to chop it up for us. We don't have to do the legwork. So someone does a great job of that and makes individual videos of the previews that I do. So thanks a lot for just having me on, and I'll talk games with you guys anytime. So sorry if I was late, but I won't do it again.
Man, it was a pleasure.
Oh man, you never late, man. You just on time. We stuck around just to have some good information gave out by you. Like next week, we'll consider some you coming on right when we finish our last pick and go straight into the FCS picks that you got. So that should be some fun too. Let's do something like that. You got anything else from Big Ragu?
No, I just want to circle back. I know he's like in the Virginia and the over. Like I agree with him on the over too in that spot there. That was it. Maybe that's primarily it. That's all my plays for the week. Yeah, I know. With Jimmy talked about Auburn early in the week. Georgia's first big game on the road. Be wary of that game there. Hugh Freeze, he's got 3 wins already, which I'm surprised there. But I think it might get away from him early or later in that game there. Maybe Georgia finally gets their first cover here, but Jimmy likes Auburn. I like the other side. Just a lean, Georgia.
You got a best bet for him? What you gonna give him as the best bet?
Yeah. The Colorado USC game over the total. Flies over.
You got a best bet, Ramon?
I got something for you right here. I got Charlotte SMU under 50, 56-ish, 55-ish. I don't know what it is now. Charlotte SMU under tonight.
SMU playing defense.
And then my best bet is going to be Utah State -6 points early this morning. So
yeah,
that's what it is, man.
State, I seen that Blake Anderson they did a little special on him going away, with some of his tragedies. But that poor guy, man, he's handled the adversity. He's a champ. Go Utah State today.
Let's go Utah State. So that's it for me, but I got to get a quick rundown of what we got going over here at Who-Bangin. Of course, we got the Boston Star starting off early Saturday morning. And also look for our guy Don Ricci to come in with some baseball playoff stuff, either before us on Saturday or sometimes before Monday or Tuesday. That's going to be coming up. You got my man Wham with the NFL live tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast. So tap in with Wham for the NFL. We probably have a couple of our guys there. And every week by week, they've been blowing it up. The live sweat on Tuesdays, our guy Ix Snizzle, who's in the chat, and Jimmy G, who's in the chat. Those guys been doing it consistently for so long. I don't know what to say. 5 hours every Tuesday, for about 3 to 5 hours. Yeah, phenomenal. And then Wednesday, we got my guy Damon and Hebrew Hammer. They do the DFS champs. For all my fantasy players. They give out a weekly lineup for the NFL. I'm not a big fantasy player, but I got some fantasy guys that's been following, and they're doing pretty well. They almost hit pay dirt a couple weeks ago in the big contest. So make sure you tune into that if you do your fantasy thing every week. And don't forget about the Fight Lounge with my guy Dylan. And Grit and Grind, those guys over there killing it in the UFC. Got to try to get them guys on live on Saturdays for the UFC. But they're giving out great information early in the week with that one. And then we're back on with the live sweat on Thursday, which is a crossbred show with my man Wham live NFL show. And I even hop on there on Thursdays for some live stuff. I was there live from the park this week. And that's it so far right here on Who-Bangin. So make sure you hit the notification button on YouTube so you can know exactly when we coming on and when we put out all this information and picks and all that good stuff. And join us for some fun, man. But that's basically it for me, man. Shout out to the chat. It's so many I can't even list them no more. JPZ, Damon, Iggs, Leonard, Nasty Nate stopped through. Kong Clips was in the house. It just goes on and on and on. Of course, our guy from North Carolina says, "See you on Friday, Big Ragu." And
on my way. Have dinner ready for me when we get there.
Woo RZA, Don Play, Nate Dogg 420, the Noli Knows. We had greats in here, man. I'm talking about year after year greats like Noli Knows and Red Girl, original low baggers.
Red Girl.
So we had some great people come see us.
Yeah.
Shout out Red Girl, OG.
Big shout out to Red Girl. But we're gonna get out of here, man. Thanks for viewing. Appreciate everybody's time. We're gonna cash these winners, and I see you at the window, Big Ragu.
See you at the window, brother. Have a day, Ramon.
Nice to have you, Ramon.
Hey, I'm just getting my Q rating up with you guys. Thanks a lot.
There you go.